How to create a stunning circular design in Affinity Photo. Key thing, just go and select a shape, an ellipse tool, and just drag down. And you can fill it with anything. I've got a gradient here, you can fill them via the swatches panel. Loads of different gradients can be added. Once you've got that design, what you can then do is you can apply effects to it. You can apply filters and blur and motion blur. You can also, if you want, distort it before you do anything. So go to distort and mesh warp. So as soon as you've done that, you get this box around it. And it's been rasterized. So it's now pixel layer. So you can distort it only so far. You can distort it, just maybe squeeze it in like that. Once you've done that, go to the top and click apply. And you can, of course, distort it in all kinds of ways. It doesn't have to be that. But like I say, you don't want to push it too far. So with that design now, what you can do is go to filters and blur. So if there is any sort of like really bad pixelization, I think motion blur sort of eliminates that a bit. And you can, of course, move that back and forth just interactively. You can also use the motion blur panel. So just simply change the radius, change the rotation, and you can see as you do that, you'll get a different result. And I like to create a nice smeary design like that. And click apply. This design now can be saved as a brush. So you've got brushes here. All you need to do is go to the move tool. You've got it selected, and that's the key thing, it's selected. Now I've created a category here of symmetry brushes. So all the brushes that I'm going to be using in the symmetry, I've just added into this section. You can create a category just simply by going to create new category and then give it a name and go with that. So once you've done that, you've got that selection, a new brush from selection. You can see ones I've created earlier. So new brush from selection. As soon as you've done that, you've got it added there. Now you can remove it. Just go press the delete key and it's gone. Now you can actually go and use a brush. Now I always find select the brush tool. Now sometimes it's actually quite hard to actually click it once you've got that. So you might want to just do that first. So just go over to the brushes, just click there, make certain it's selected, and you can modify it, of course, and change things. Then go to the brush tool and you definitely know that that has been selected. I think sometimes when it's got that design there, that cursor, it's very hard to actually click on the actual brush. Another thing, symmetry. Go along here to the control bar, and I would suggest maybe if you want to avoid going over the edge, I don't want to go over the edge of the document, so you just reduce down the size, because of course you might create something like 1,000, but the document might not sort of. Key thing also, you'll notice when I created the design is that it was straight up. So it's straight up. Don't have it at an angle. Well, you can have it at an angle, of course, but I think it's just nicer to create that sort of symmetrical circular designs. Just have that design, that shape straight up and down. So with that, just apply the brush now. And you can see I've got symmetry on. Now you can have mirror as well, and I've got 8. But you can vary that. And then just click in the center. And as soon as you click, you can see you've got your brush stroke applied. Now you can undo. If you don't like the design, maybe you think, oh, you know what, I want it a bit further out, something like that. But if you have a gap in the center, you will notice that when you use this brush, this design later, that you end up having that gap in the center, which you may or may not like. So you might like just to go really close to that center, and just go along that line, that central bit of the symmetry there, just hover there. And then click. And that's why I've gone for that straight up, straight down. Now, of course, you can always change the angle. You can always do it later. So it's not like frozen. You can tweak it, but it's just nice to start with that angle first, I think, and then you've got it already like that. And again, I've still slightly missed that. Again, you can just keep varying until you're happy. There, I think I'm happy with that. And of course, you could apply multiple times. Don't have to just have one brush stroke. You could always add multiple additional designs just to create some variation, maybe change the color, because you can always go here to the brushes panel. Again, like I say, it's always tricky to edit it because sometimes I don't know what I'm actually clicking. So double click there, and you can always go and add some hue jitter, so you can see you can get some color in there, so you might get some variation. And again, go to the brush tool and again hover over there and just click, and then you've got another slight colorful design there. Well, now what I want to do is I want to add it's just a layer, so I can go to the layers panel. Here's the layers panel, just drag that over there, and down the bottom you've got here effects. Now at this point I'm just going to remove, don't need the brush anymore, so you've got the design there. So you just use the move tool, makes it easy, you don't get the cursor causing problems. And then you go down to effects. Now also, if you want, you can always add colours to it, modify using adjustments, but I'm just going to go with layer effects, and I'm going to go with 3D. So 3D, and then just change that. Now you can vary it. Sometimes it really works nicely if you just go for something like that, just set the radius, but you can also modify direction. So you can always change it. Now I actually find that sometimes it really, weirdly, this design works better sometimes if you've got a slightly dark centre, but you create this sort of edge. So you can move it around, just tweak it. And of course you can add other light sources. Quite often I just go with one light source. You don't have to do just one light source. There is an add option. So you can add multiple colours, multiple design to your thing to create a slightly more complex design. But again, you just make it darker, but just keep some colour. You have to wait a few seconds. It does take a bit of processing time just to get to where it wants. So now I've got that colour. I can see some brightness there. I got the brightness around this part, and I've got it dark in the centre, and that's what I want. Again, depends what you want to achieve. If you want it nice and bright all the way, just go for a bright design and close it. Well, of course, you've got all these other options as well. You can go with bevel and emboss. I haven't done bevel and emboss, but you can see you could add that as well. That's another option. Whole load of different options. Pillow, using type there. And that creates a nice design there. And again, with the darkness, but with the colour there, click close. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a power transform. And that's Command or Control J. And I'm just going to resize this. Now you could do any number of variations. You can make it go bigger, though again, as soon as you go bigger, you will notice that it gets a bit more sort of pixelized. Doesn't look as good, so it's best to go, I think, smaller. So here, just simply hold down the Alt Option key and duplicate. You can also use layer menus, etc. But I'm just going to put it in the center there and resize it. Now, of course, straight away, you don't have to keep it at the center. I quite often do. I have a tendency just to make, but you can have the transform elsewhere, perfectly reasonable, but move it. But it's slightly smaller than it was before. It's still in the center. And also I want a slight rotation. And again, you could, like I say, make spiral designs by having it slightly shifted out, resize, and angle, and then you get a spiral design. Really what you want to achieve. Once you've done that, you've done your transform, Command or Control J on the keyboard, and then repeat that. And you can see what happens. You get this lovely design that heads to the center. Now you can do it 3 or 4 times. And that's why I tried to avoid in the white at the center. Sometimes it just doesn't look as good, I think. But of course, everyone will have their preference. Now what you can do, you've got all these layers. Just go with one top one there selected. Just go down the bottom, hold down the shift, and with them all, you can then select them all straight away. So they're all selected. And then again, Control or Command J. G. Even. G. Makes sense, G this time. Not power transform. You could, of course, do another power transform, but G. So they're all grouped. So you can see it's now in a group. The reason for that, because I'm also just going to resize it. Now, you'll notice it slightly stutters when it moves, when you're moving. You can see it there's a slight jittery effect there. And it even got that again. I haven't had that for a while. That's weird. This is with the latest version, Affinity Photo 2. Hope it's not doing that again. Now what I'm going to do, a layer and rasterize. So I'm just going to rasterize the whole group. Now if I rasterized before doing the group, if I just did it individually, they would all be rasterized, but they would not be grouped into single pixel layer. And that's what I want. So you have to group it, then rasterize that group. And then you've got this pixel layer. And of course you can do it other ways as well, of course. So you've got this design, and of course once you've got this design, you can apply colours to it. So you might think, you know what, I don't want it purple anymore. You can change that, perfectly reasonable. And of course you can always do exactly the same as you did before. Power transform with this, just repeat the same thing. Duplicate it. So duplicate this design, and then, like I say, just Alt Option on the keyboard, and then just duplicate that. I wish it wouldn't resize, always resizes sometimes like that. I don't want that. So you've got that. And again, what you can do, you can move it, reposition it. Again, you can position it anywhere. And again, you could resize it, make it smaller. And right now, it would be nice if there was an option, the power transform, to change the color, so you could actually have it changing color. Unfortunately, there isn't, but you can of course individually change the colors of the layers. So I've just rotated it, and again, power transform, Command or Control J, not G, but J, and you can see it will duplicate that, and you can create different designs. And again, you can go to each of these layers, and if you want, you could change them. Don't have to. But literally millions of possible designs can be just created by doing this approach. Just constantly slight variation, slight movement, apply different effects, and also apply different effects. So you could just go to filters, and you can go to distort, and maybe go for mesh warp. It's a good one. It's a new feature, obviously, with Affinityt Photo 2. And you could distort design, create design distorted, and then then makes it even more interesting when you come to click apply. And of course, you can create many different distortions, but apply. And again, now it's not symmetrical. You can again hold down the Alt Option key, duplicate that, rotate it, and it will create different design. And again, slightly smaller, different angles, different positions. Again, Command Control J, and repeat. And you can see then you get a different result. Again, literally millions of different designs can be achieved using this approach. Undo all that way again. Now, once you've got your design, of course, you can do other things with it as well. You can always hold down the Alt Option key and duplicate, and then fill the screen with that design, and so on. And maybe distort it, apply colours to it, mirror effects, and much, much more. So that's a great way of creating all kinds of circular, symmetrical designs, as well as some slightly more unusual designs using this sort of approach. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. Thank you much.